It's been shown that tribal societies have been the most successful and longest lasting civilizations throughout history. Unfortunately, when these tribal peoples are exposed to outsiders from commercial scale societies, it is often to the detriment of the tribal individuals. In the name of progress, millions of people, cultures, resources, and rights have been stripped away in an effort to increase profits. In the 20th century, indigenous people, a term that can often have derogatory connotations, have made strides towards cultural autonomy. By forming UN-recognized organizations, indigenous people have been able to claim rights and title to the land and resources that have been used by the natives for hundreds of years. These land rights allow the tribal people some semblance of voluntary isolation. Colonial expansion into tribal lands was often viewed as necessary because the land contained valuable resources that the savages and backwards people were not utilizing properly. This way of thinking was the justification for the ethnocide, genocide, and ecocide of millions of people. In the unending desire for progress, more than 50,000 Gaunches, the first inhabitants of the Canary Islands, were slaughtered and enslaved by European, Spanish, and French invaders in search of timber. Prior to 1966, in Article 26 of the UN International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which states, in those states in which ethnic, religious, or linguistic minorities exist, persons belonging to such minorities shall not be denied the right, in community with other members of their group, to enjoy their own culture, to profess their own religion, or to use their own language. After hundreds of years of opinions, research, and rulings based heavily on ethnocentric points of view, this article was considered a major step in the right direction to the protection of indigenous people. So-called small nations, defined as a territorially organized socio-cultural system in the commercial world of fewer than 10 million people, have proven to be incredibly resilient. Most of the world's politically independent states are small nations, but only equal about 5% of the total population. The island nation of Dominica is an example of a small nation that is conscious of the relationship between human relations and economic systems. This can be evidenced by Part B of the Dominican Constitution, which states Dominica is founded on the principles of social justice and therefore believe that the operation of economic system should result in so distributing the material resources of the community as to subserve the common good, that there should be adequate means of livelihood for all, that labor should not be exploited or forced by economic necessity to operate in inhumane conditions, but there should be the opportunity for advancement on the basis of recognition, merit, ability, and integrity. This principal statement in their constitution allows for resources and human needs to be more equally distributed among the people. The key to small nation success is the ability to adapt to local needs. The majority of small nations have high levels of happiness and human well-being without ever attempting to achieve large nation status. And lastly, the planet Earth is a finite resource that can and will be depleted if the current model is allowed to continue unchecked. People, cultures, animal species, and ecosystems are disappearing at an alarming rate as commercial societies and cultures pillage the Earth's pristine environments in an effort to increase corporate bottom lines. The current dependence on fossil fuel, with little attention being paid to alternative fuel sources, has humanity in a downward spiral. The tribal formula of growing cultures as needed and limiting resources only to what was actually required by the group for survival allows for the earth to replenish itself. Show the crowd again, please. Show the crowd again.